Hi, Parsi. My name is Caleb Kroeker. I am a member of our finance team. I was informed that the VP of Operations had some concerns about your missed forecast for the prior quarter. So I put together a brief presentation to give you a little more information as to why the adjusting entry was booked that caused the variance, give you a little more insight into our inventory accounting procedures, as well as some suggestions that can hopefully help us to reduce these variances moving forward. So at the end of the quarter, it was determined that $350,000 of polyurethane was missing from inventory. This was caused by incorrect raw materials assumptions being provided by the engineering team. Before the quarter began, they were forecasting about 11.2 pounds of polyurethane foam per refrigerator, whereas actuals came in for the quarter at about 13.2 pounds. To account for this, we had to book that adjusting entry of $350,000 to recognize the unrecorded raw materials that were consumed during the quarter. So in order to give you a little more insight into our inventory accounting procedures, I included a couple of journal entries that were recorded during the previous quarter. On March 1st, we purchased $10 million of inventory. To account for that, accounting booked a $10 million debit that hit inventory, and then a corresponding credit that hit accounts payable for $10 million. And then on March 25th, we sold another batch of our refrigerators. So in order to account for that, accounting booked $3 million to cost of goods sold, and then a corresponding credit that hit inventory for that same amount. Beneath the journal entries listed, I have the T accounts, and those are just the individual accounts that we used to book those two journal entries at the top. Okay, so now the adjusting entry. This is what caused that $350,000 variance for the quarter. So at the top, you can see the journal entry. On March 31st, we booked that $350,000 expense that hit cost of goods sold, that debit, and then the corresponding credit that hit inventory to recognize the unrecorded raw materials that had been consumed during the quarter. And below that journal entry, I also included the T accounts as well. And you can see highlighted in yellow that $350,000 credit to inventory, as well as the corresponding cost of goods sold $350,000 debit. That would hit the income statement. That increased the expense by that same amount. So in order to hopefully reduce any further variances related to inventory in the future, I had a few suggestions. The first of which would be to set up recurring meetings between purchasing, engineering, and accounting departments to discuss changes in raw materials assumptions. I think this will really help tighten up our forecast going forward. I also think that conducting weekly physical inventory counts would be beneficial as opposed to doing them quarterly like we've been doing in the past. I think that'll really help. My third suggestion would be to send out the monthly financials to company executives and the purchasing team as soon as the books are closed every month. I think this will really help ensure that executives know or are informed of any large variances immediately. And I think that any large variances should be documented by the finance team as well, so that executives can easily determine why variances occurred. All right, so I hope that this presentation was beneficial to you in helping to understand a bit more of what caused the variance for the quarter. I did want to reassure you that this variance does not reflect poorly upon you and your team at all. The entry was booked in order to satisfy GAAP accounting requirements as well as the expense recognition principle, which dictates that any expenses must be recognized in the same period as the revenues to which they are associated with. So it was purely just in order to fulfill those standards. Hopefully the suggestions that I had will be beneficial to us moving forward, and we can reduce these same variances in the next quarter. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I appreciate your time. Thanks.